Hello all, and welcome to week 4 of Lost Woods Draft League. I am Jack of Spadesman, coach of the Boston Blackjacks. You can call me Jake, and if so you can hear in my voice, I'm a little stressed about this week. This week we're up against Rockwell, the coach of the good guy Goodras. Uh, and here's a look at Rockwell's team on the right side, my team on the left. You might notice I'm in the bottom right now. I did some pre-editing, but I'll jump to the top right in a bit. So the two teams match up interestingly. The speeds are pretty even across the board. Rockwell, generally being a bit slower, has a much better trick room option than me and a better tailwind option than me. Doesn't have as much setup as I do, but has this nasty Galarian Wheezing, nasty Toad's Cruel, and 3 Paradox Pokemon, all of which would love to hold a booster energy. A Politoed that can haze and set up rain, so my Volcarona doesn't want to do as much. A Sinistcha that can redirect. A Toad's Cruel that can redirect and Spore. A Galarian Wheezing that can haze and Clear Smog. And in my last video, you may have seen me discuss how I think I underrated Rockwell's team very heavily in my first tier list. And prepping this week, albeit shorter than I usually do because we're playing during the week, I've been scared of this team, admittedly. It's hard to poke holes in. I think I found some spots, but overall, it's going to be trickier than some of the other teams I've fought. Other than Corrosion, I think this is my scariest week yet, and the one I'm feeling like I might lose for the first time since Corrosion. Corrosion definitely made me feel like I was going to lose with the team at first, and then playing, I didn't think I was going to win either. But this is the first time I'm feeling like, ooh, I might not win again. So, yep, there's our teams, and I'll quickly go over the composition that I'm going to bring. So at first, I can't even call it a 1.0 because I made this like in delirium in the night, and it was just a concept. I couldn't sleep. It was like 1 or 2 a.m. I don't remember. So the first one was the new member of Team Raikou with Thunderbolt, Screens, Thunderwave, Light Clay. It outspeeds all of his Pokemon except for Booster Energies and Scarfs, of course. So that's what I went with, and then pumped it full of HP and a little bit in special attack. Volcarona was just Quiver Dance, Terra Blast with Terra Fairy, Flamethrower, and Psychic. Psychic, importantly, because it can super effectively hit Iron Moth, which is just such a problem for my team. And if Rain is up, it can also hit Galarian Wheezing harder than Flamethrower would either way. So it's something I may or may not reveal. But yeah, it's primarily for Iron Moth. If I got Psyshock, I would be running Psyshock. But it doesn't. So Psychic it is. Next is Metagross. Pretty standard set with Heavy Slam, Psychic Fangs, Ice Punch, and Bullet Punch. With an Assault Vest. I made it decently speedy. I don't need to talk about these EVs. Because they're not even finished. Look at Incineroar. It has 252 HP, 92 speed, and nothing else. So this is a Snarl set. I also had Stomping Tantrum on this because I was really afraid of Iron Moth. Ability Shield because I didn't want to deal with Wheezing. The reason I didn't go with that, or I'll tell you now, I didn't go with that because there's only 2 or 3 physical attackers on the team. Iron Hands, Baxcalibur, Scizor, and I expect one of them to hold Clear Amulet, so like saving my item for that, it just isn't going to go a long way. This team is primarily special attacking, and that's what I'm afraid of. Rillaboom was Okaberry with Woodhammer, Fake Out, Taunt, High Horsepower. I maxed out its special defense. I don't remember why. And it went a little fast. Clefable was Moonblast, Follow Me, Flamethrower to do a little more damage to Toad's Cruel and possibly take out Scizor if I had to. God, what was I on with this? And Helping Hand to secure KOs. Next team I made was 0.9.1. This was more of my first pass. I would call this 1.0, but I didn't even get far with this one. You can see the Clefable's not fully fleshed out. I did put Encore there. This was a Komo with Terra Fire. I think at one time it was Terra Steel, with Dragon Claw and Stomping Tantrum, as that hits like all of his team either neutrally or super effectively. Um, so yeah, it would have been able to one-shot this stupid Iron Moth and do just good damage across the rest of the team. And I had Life Orb on it. Dragon Ants, once I'm set up once, it's gonna be faster than everything. Komo, I opted for... Wow, no, I just talked about that. Volcarona was the same. On this one, I decided to do Choice Scarf Rillaboom as a bit of a surprise, because if I can Scarf KO Iron Moth, that would be really cool. And Terra Ground, like, ground typing does really well into his team offensively. Defensively, not as much with Politoed, Baxcalibur, Sinistcha, and I mean, to a much lesser degree, Toadscruel, as well as Iron Hands, if it wanted to go for... I mean, it's not going for an electric move into Rillaboom anyways, but, like, it can't Volt Switch if it wants to. And I just really want the high horsepower damage. Raikou was the same. Incineroar, I switched to Citrus Berry and Will-O-Wisp over Taunt, which I realized I can't even hit Baxcalibur with... Well, the reason I was running it, obviously I can't hit Baxcalibur with it, but if Weezing and Baxcalibur are on the field at the same time, I can. But ultimately I decided that Taunt would be way more important, especially to shut down Hazes from either of these two, because those are going to be a problem for Volcarona's setup. So if I can stop Haze, that would be really nice. If I can stop a Trick Room, that would be nice. If I can stop Spores, that would obviously be really nice. Like, overall pretty good. And then Snarl, just because the team of special attackers is what I'm afraid of. What I ended up pulling out in the limited time I had to build is what you see here, which I finally call a 1.0 because it got fleshed out. I'm not super confident in it. I do think some changes could be made, but ultimately we'll see what ends up working. So we have Clefable with Lumberry to absorb a Spore from Toadscruel. Moonblast, Follow Me, Life Dew, Encore. And I ended up going with Speed EVs such that I will always underspeed Sinistcha if it is minimum speed, while also keeping some speed for myself, and I will explain that in a bit. So if this is 0 and this is Sassy, 67 will be its speed, so I will be 1 less. So if it goes for Trick Room and I'm not able to stop that, I can Encore it into Trick Room. As well, if, like, Iron Hands goes for Fake Out, I can play the game of I have a slower Encore, so I can just click Encore as soon as, like, turn 1, if I wanted to just click Encore on a read, I could. Next is Metagross, which I ended up making max speed, with a little bit of HP to hit a Divinabilized 16th number for Grassy Terrain, the rest in Special Defense and Attack. Yeah, I think this just gets the KOs I need. So if we look at Metagross versus Weezing, Galar, if it's bold but no investment, which is very, very reasonable, it will one-shot Weezing, which is very, very nice. And max speed is because... I'll get to it. Volcarona is 164 special attack. This was for a very specific calc, which I'm actually... as you might have realized in my other prep videos, I don't often do a lot of offensive calcs, but this week I felt it was very, very necessary. So versus a beefy max HP Baxcalibur, let's say, assume it's not Assault Vest, +1 Volcarona Terra Fairy Terra Blast will pick up the 1-hit KO, and that's very, very important. You may see in the calc that this is 84 and this is 12. I don't know why I had it as 12. I realized that the HP as general value would probably be better, so I just stuck it there. Next is Scarf Rillaboom again, but something's different. It's the drum beating. So I opted for drum beating here. While Woodhammer damage would be nice, being able to slow something down on Rockwell's team and hit it with Metagross or Volcarona that hasn't set up is going to be really, really key. He has a few fast Pokemon, and just being able to slow them down um, is going to be really, really important for Metagross. Like, if I don't want to rely on high horsepower to get that one shot, or I think it's Sash, or find out that it's Sash, or don't know it's Terra type, or find out that it's like Terra Fairy or something, I can play the game of drum beating, and I'm going to outspeed everything. 122 was to outspeed like Scarf, Modest Politoed. 123 was the next step up, and then I realized I might as well just creep it to 124 and just leave it there. I think originally Komo was at 123. I was just like, I'll just leave it at 124 for Rillaboom. I don't think that one attack EV is going to matter. Divisible by 16 HP for the terrain, and then 4-4. Incineroar, Snarl, Taunt, Parting Shot, Fake Out. Pretty standard in that department. The investment here is to survive. Incineroar versus Iron Hands. If it is max attack adamant close combat, I will not drop to that, which is very, very nice. That's if I get the Intimidate off, and it's not booster energy or a boosting item or something. I'll find out pretty quickly. The speed is to outspeed Sinistcha, that way I can taunt it or snarl it before it moves. And last is the Pokemon I'm not sure about, is Raikou. Pretty similar to the one I was originally running, but instead of Thunderbolt, I went with Electro Web. That way, it's a more accurate slowdown, and I don't need to get them to -2. It would be really nice to be able to get them to like permanently have speed drops so they can't switch out of them. But overall, I think just a little bit of damage is going to go a long, long way. Reflect and Light Screen, I don't have any screens calcs. I just think if I get screens up, I am in a much better position. And then Extrasensory as the last move to hit Pokemon like Iron Hands for a little more damage, Weezing for some more damage, and Iron Moth for some more damage, as well as not do no damage to Toedscruel. If I get a 10% flinch, I will feel really badly. That is not why I'm running the move. If I had Psychic, I would be running Psychic. If I had Psyshock, I would be running Psyshock. But Extrasensory is the move of choice. I also considered Scald to be able to burn Iron Hands, but ultimately decided that Extrasensory was just overall better coverage for the team, especially to be able to get a better shot at KOing Weezing. Scald Burns would be really nice onto something like Iron Hands or Scizor. Baxcalibur probably won't happen. As well as take advantage of a possible Rain. But I just think Extrasensory is better, and that's what I'm locking into. Yeah. I don't really have much else to say. Oh, the bulk of this, 252 HP, 28 defense. It might be the same for surviving. Oh. Oh, no, I think I remember what it was. It's called Booster Energy. Let's say it's like 116, I think. Or not. Or not. Baxcalibur. Glaive Rush. What did I calc for? I calc for something. I calc for something. Oh, I don't remember. Ice equals Spear? 5 hit? Is that what it was for? No. Iron Hands? Wait, is 76 the jump point? I think 76 is the jump point for Hands. Yeah. 76 is the jump point. Booster Energy. Close combat. There we go. That's what it is. It's 76. So there you go. There's the calcs. Just max HP is optimal. I considered 192 for like perfectly getting the grassy terrain number, but I believe if I look at Iron Moth with A modest overheat does not KO that, and that is exactly what I wanted. I don't think I mentioned Metagross's bulk. It seems relatively insignificant. I can assure you it is not, because Iron Jugulus, let's say it's Life Orb, even though it should probably be Booster Energy, does not get the KO. Booster Energy comes pretty close, but Life Orb also does not get the KO, and that is by a hair. So that is what I went for there. And yeah, I think that's about it. I don't feel very confident, and I've kept Rockwell waiting a bit. So I'm going to get into the match. See you guys on the other side. Bye.